Toronto Star. Canadian maple syrup thief ordered to pay $9.1 million fine. Canada's highest court ruled that one of the men behind the notorious 2012 maple syrup heist in Quebec will have to pay the fine. That's a lot of money. That's a big maple syrup heist. I never heard about that one. 9.1 million. Lots and lots of maple syrup. The Toronto Star. The Star. Supreme Court restores the fine. Unanimous decision. Richard Valerius must pay a fine equal to the profit he made from it. The court has given Valerius 10 years to pay the fine, failing which he will serve 6 years in prison. Valerius was found guilty in 2016 of fraud, trafficking, and theft of 9,500 barrels of syrup between 2011 and 2012 from a central Quebec warehouse storing product from the province's maple syrup producers. The stolen syrup was worth more than 18 million, but Valerius, wow, that's a lot of syrup. 9,500 barrels. You're telling me one guy stole, that's a lot of barrels to carry. I don't believe that. More than 18 million. Said during his trial that he had sold it for 10 million and made a $1 million profit. Was the stolen syrup was worth more than 18 million, but Valerius said during his trial that he sold it for 10 million. Sounds like some GTA 5, the heist thing. The Supreme Court said Quebec's Court of Appeal was wrong to reduce his fine to 1 million. Distinguishing between an offender's income and expenses in order to determine the offender's profit margin would essentially amount to legitimating criminal activity. The ruling, written by Chief Justice Richard Wagner. I've heard of him. Let's see. Profit margin. Distinguishing between an offender's income and expenses in order to determine the offender's profit margin would essentially amount to legitimating the criminal activity. The proceeds of crime provisions in the criminal code are severe, the Supreme Court said, because they specifically seek to deprive offenders of the fruits of their crimes and to take away any motivation for them to pursue criminal purposes. Parliament is sending a clear message that crime does not pay and is thus attempting to discourage individuals from organizing themselves and committing profit-greedy crimes. The Supreme Court reduced Valerius' $10 million fine by about $830,000. The amount he owed to the Federation of Syrup Producers are under a separate court order. They need armed guards for the syrup. I heard we're 90-something% of the world's syrup. What's going to stop somebody from coming in and going for the syrup? The court was also asked to determine whether the roughly $9 million fine should be divided between Valerius and his accomplices in order to avoid double recovery of the money received for the stolen syrup. The judges said Valerius did not prove at trial or on appeal that there was a risk of double recovery. I don't get what that means. Oh. Court was also asked to determine whether the roughly $9 million fine should be divided in his accomplices in order to. Not sure. Bruce said that's a sticky situation. Pat, that is justice. The victims need full compensation for all their losses and costs, including time spent to do with this, at the very least. Then there needs to be a punitive cost that hurts the guilty. If there is no deterrent strong enough to stop crime, it will only be repeated. Kathy, I went to Montreal a few weeks ago and got maple butter. I just ran out of my President's Choice maple syrup and head back to Montreal in 2 weeks. I will make a point and purchase this brand, Syrup d'Érable Pure. That is a 2017 photo for illustrative purposes. As the theft was from a strategic reserve shared by Quebec syrup producers, you can still support them if you can't find that brand by purchasing any syrup from Quebec, including PC products. Ontario suppliers first, support local in Quebec. No need to ever buy from this outside of Canada. Canada does have some wonderful maple syrup. Everybody in Canada, I feel like, has a good amount of maple syrup in their fridge. Or at one time they did. Anyways. I've been up there and seen the maple trees, actually. Or all the maple syrup, yep. I've seen a lot of the maple trees. With the sap thing coming out of it. It's considered a plant, eh? A maple tree. It's a grand plant. You don't think of it as a plant. You think of it as its own category as a tree. Plant to me is like one of those small little plants. It makes these very nice apples. I love drinking the apples or apple juice, and I love drinking the orange juice. Yeah. Apple juice is great. I love apple juice. Has the sugar, sweetness of the sugar. But I like it with ice. Nice apple juice. My Uncle Roy has a couple really nice maple trees. Apple trees. These are maple trees. I was thinking apple trees. I love apples and apple juice. I even seen the Florida. In Florida, we went to this one place, through this one place. It was a big time orange producer place. You seen big trucks full of oranges. Big trucks full of oranges. There's this one place in Canada you can go and get a fresh apple cider. You go there and get an ice cold fresh apple cider. Hot or cold. You can get them ice cold or you can get them hot. I like them ice cold. Fresh pressed sweet apple cider, but I like it really cold, watered down with some ice. That's my favorite apple cider. Then you got hot ones. Hot apple cider. That's really nice for your throat. Really good for your body when you need it. Apple. I've been having apples since I was a kid. Our family was big, loved apples. Yeah, our family loved apples. When I was a kid, my dad had apples. My uncle used to cut his apple with a pocket knife. I said it, Thomas Perron-Slote. I said, look, pocket knife, apple. Yep, he used to walk on his property right in Hillsburg, and he would cut when he was talking to you. He's the only guy I know. I know Bob Lord used to pick away from his cigarette, but my uncle used to have an apple with him and a pocket knife. And when he was talking to you, sometimes he'd be cutting his apple. This was when I was a kid, a young kid. He would have his apple with him, and he'd be cutting it, eating it slowly while he was. But he would do it steadily, and you wouldn't get too close to him or nothing. He'd be just slowly cutting little tiny slivers or whatever off his apple with his pocket knife. Some people do that sort of with a tomato. They take a bite of tomato with salt and pepper. Yeah, you can eat a fresh tomato. I've done it a couple times. You just take a big tomato or whatever, normal sized tomato. I don't know. I don't think there's any video of it. I'd have to do it. Just this is when I was young. You'd be right on the farm, or what was of it, or what could have been of it, or whatever. Many people have this story. You take a bite of a fresh tomato. Just the tomato. Ooh, look at this. Stuffed tomatoes? Because I've had stuffed peppers. That looks good. Stuffed tomato. Where the heck is my phone? You've never eaten from a whole tomato? I did when I was younger. When I was younger, I was so hungry. That's who my Uncle Roy was. He'd give you a tomato. He'd give us a tomato. My dad would say, Uncle Roy never gave us no tomato.